But now we're going to get into the subject, or really the argument that you hear the most often. This is the one that you most often hear from people that are pro-abortion. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. But there's a reality here. This is very, very important. Abortion destroys a completely separate body. Abortion destroys a completely separate body. Because guys, I talked about earlier, if you need a blood or tissue sample from the fetus, it has to come from the fetus. Like, you don't take a blood sample from mom in order to get a blood sample for the baby. Why? Because it's a separate body with its own blood. From the time it's a one-celled zygote, it has its own DNA. It develops its own organs, its own skin, its own fingerprints, its own fingernails, its own everything inside its own body from the time it's a one-celled zygote. At that moment, we know how tall you're going to be. You're not going to change. We know what eye color you're going to have. The coarseness of your hair, the hair color, all those things are known at that exact moment that you're a one-celled zygote. All that information is there. So you've probably heard the old adage by now, which is, my right to swing my fist ends where your nose begins. You probably heard something similar to that. That still applies to the living human that's in the womb. It 100% still applies, because basically your right to choose what you do with your body ends where that other human body begins. Okay. So the reason for that is this. This is why. This is really, really important. The abortion does not happen to the woman. It does not happen to her. It happens to the living human that's inside her womb. Okay. Again, I thought the book What to Say When really broke this down really, really well. The abortion impacts the woman's body secondarily. Okay. The primary impact of the abortion is to the baby's body inside the womb. The woman's body is simply the setting for the abortion, which seems like a really, terse way of putting it, but it's true, because the heart that is stopped in an abortion, a successful abortion, if you will, is not the mother's heart. It's the baby's heart. The limbs that are torn off or are sucked out with a suction tube, they're not the woman's. They're not the mom's. It's the baby's. The brains that are sucked out through a tube into a trash can, right? It's not the woman's brains. At the end of a successful abortion, right? Which is a horrible way of saying it, right? The only lifeless body that's left after the abortion is that of the baby's, not the mother's. The mother doesn't die. So when people say my body, my choice, they have to reckon with that. So this is how I'd respond to them, is in what other domain of society is that true? My body, my choice. Because again, if you decide to stop your car in the middle of the highway and pull your clothes off and stand up on the top of your car naked and dance, you're going to get arrested for that, right? It's not my body, my choice. If you walk into a random, children's cafeteria and start punching people, you can't say my body, my choice. That doesn't make a lot of sense. You can't gain access into a place or a secure area, that you're not allowed to have access to, and just say, hey, my body, my choice. That doesn't make any sense. It's a silly, ridiculous argument. But then the last thing that I would say to someone that says my body, my choice is, are you saying that the fetus inside the woman is the woman? Or is that a separate human being? You have to get them to admit to that, because then they're probably going to back into the parasite argument. They're like, yeah, okay, it might be a separate thing, but it's leeching off the mother, so it's not really even real. It's not, you can't protect something like that. It's a parasite, right? Again, they're going to move the goalpost, so you have to be ready for that, but you have to ask the question anyway.